I want to tell everybody why I think the first and most important reason I think FreedomPhone could actually be very, very good, very, very important, and why the establishment is probably coming after you so hard. First, let me say, I have not tested the device. I have not done a forensic analysis on it. I would like to get some of our tech experts to crack it open, go through it, hardware and software, and see if it can actually do what we think it can do.
That's no problem at all.
There are some concerns about whether or not there will be some Chinese spyware, perhaps, because, it's made in China, whatever. Maybe there's concerns that there's data leakage in some capacity, that it's spying on you. Some people are saying it's a honeypot, that the feds are funding this to get all of the patriots to use the phone and they can track everything you do. And I'm like, they do that through Google and Apple. Yeah. They're called national security letters. If you are worried about your phone being spied on, you are literally in the NSA database with your existing phone. It can't get any worse. They're already spying on you. But here's the thing. Why are all these outlets freaking out? Anti-censorship as a service. So when Daily Beast comes out and says, this is a cheap device, it's garbage. When Gizmodo says it should be avoided at all costs, I'm like, what are they really freaking out about? Most people cannot get an Android device, jailbreak it, and flash it with whatever, boot up whatever operating system they want. I'm seeing a bunch of people on Twitter and they were like, you could just put Graphene OS on it. So for those that are not familiar with this, maybe I don't want to get too jargony. Phones come with the Android operating system. Android phones do. Then usually there's some like skin or bloatware that a company will put into it. So like Samsung has their specific version. You can actually plug it in, hook it up to your computer, erase that, and put a fresh, new, clean operating system. And many activists and hackers have created anti-censorship, and they've created, free speech and anti-tracking, and even operating systems that erase themselves after a certain period of time. They've created these things to enhance individual rights and security. I would say 99.9% of people would never figure out how to do that. I know people like, sure, you can pull up a YouTube tutorial, like here's how you make your phone secure and censor free. All of a sudden you pop up and you're like, just buy this, it's done. So where is that money? So they try claiming that it's a cheap knockoff. Okay, well, you've got a custom operating system on it. Mm-hmm. Even if it just loaded up a censor-free store, that'd be worth it. Mm-hmm. An app store that has apps on it that Google and Apple don't like. So if you want to choose what you consume, you can. The reason I think this is so dangerous is that it gives the opportunity, assuming it works, again, like I said, I didn't try it, I'm not endorsing it, I'm just saying the concept. The average person who cannot make a device can just buy one and have it. And assuming it does what you claim it does, this is really, really dangerous for the establishment that wants to track people. They don't want you to shut down. We already know we got the stupid Amazon robot spying on us. We already know that the smartphones have their microphones on. We know that the NSA is incidentally collecting all this information. I shouldn't even say incidentally. Glenn Greenwald exposed X-Keyscore and the things that they're doing with bulk data collection. So if you can buy a device that's not connected to those networks, you're still going to get spied on very likely through just general cell networks, where your phone is, what it's connected to. Let me tell you guys something. I got an alert on my phone and it said, Maryland tracking. How do they know that my phone's in Maryland? Because listen, of course they know where my phone is, right? But what gives them the right to share it and act upon it? And that's where it gets really weird. My phone number is a New York City number. I am not, my primary residence is not Maryland. I am in Maryland. My phone alerts and says Maryland information on COVID and tracking and all that stuff. And that means that the cell company has given my data to the Maryland government. Or at the very least, the cell company is acting upon my data at the behest of a government program. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I never consented to them alerting my phone based on location in that capacity. But you know what? Amber alerts, presidential text messages, they know where you are. They're tracking you all the time. If regular people can get access to a device that adds even 1% or 0.1% to their privacy and their free speech, that's going to be a real threat to the machine, which is trying to eliminate this ideology, classical liberalism, the right, whatever. If they are slowly eroding free speech, banning people on Twitter, banning people on Facebook, banning people on YouTube, and then all of a sudden someone can just pay money and get a device that immediately puts a halt to that operation, what are they going to do? Send a bunch of muggers to go steal your phone? They can't do that. Mm-hmm. So you look at what YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook are doing with banning hate speech, promising to do more, to clean up and end the rabbit holes. And then all of a sudden you get a phone and you can talk to whoever you want. So like I said, We'll have to actually, before I actually say it's a good device.
I'll get you phones, and you can tear it apart, rip it apart. We've tested it.
Oh, but we're not going to take the phones from you.
Oh, well, get them.
So what our plan is...
No bias then. Get them.
Right. So once you ship the phones, we will reach out to people and randomly select phones for testing.
Do it. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
Not through you, because look, if I went to you, you'd be like, oh, here's the phone. And then we'd be like, it's
phone.
perfect. It's great. I want
Oh, you're right.
Potemkin phones.
Yeah, exactly. No, randomly get some and all that. Happy to put it to the test.
But anyway, when we're hearing what the Biden administration is doing with censorship,
with the text messages, and seeing an article come out like right before we launched our phone about how they're pressuring phone companies to prevent the spread of misinformation in your text messages. I mean, it's sick. I mean, that if you're texting your mom or your father, your daughter, your son, I mean, it's terrible. Like what they're doing.
Could you imagine if you were talking on the phone to your mom and then you said something and it just cut the phone off?
Yeah, like Twitter, you get a label for misinformation, right? I mean, it's maybe you get that in text message. Maybe you get like a Amber Alert while you're on the phone or something.
Your personal phone number. You're talking to your mother on the phone, and they blockade you from being able to communicate.
Yeah.
That's insane.
At least they had the decency to lie before and say they weren't monitoring you, or at least the decency to say it was for your safety. But now it's just so blatant.
We've made the argument for a long time that social media networks should operate like phones. And we would use that point as an example as to how shocking it would be should they actually do that. We'd be like, Twitter should be like a common carrier. Like, they shouldn't be censoring what I say. Could you imagine if you texted your mom and your text got deleted? I mean, that'd be crazy. And now we're here and they're doing it.
Yeah.
Or at least there's rumors it's happening, but they've stated they are doing it.
Well, from the press, from the White House, the press secretary's podium, I mean, that they're saying they're doing it. I mean, it's right. Or they want to do it.
They said that they're working in conjunction with like the DNC and phone companies to, what do they say, mete out misinformation. But there have been rumors from people saying that they've tried sending texts and the texts don't go through on certain issues.
Yeah.
But that's something I can't confirm, but I don't know if I have to, considering the White House says this is what they're doing, or at least that's their intention. They're actively working in this direction. And they said that they're actively flagging things for Facebook, in which case it's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's that's the thing, is the internet was the biggest weapon in the fight against just hoaxes, honestly. And obviously it spread some, you could, but I think it's a net good because you're not able to do hoaxes like WMDs in Iraq anymore. And because of social media and because of the internet.
Yeah, but they did Russia.
Yeah, they did. So, and I think you would have seen the poll numbers on people believing that way higher if you didn't have the internet.
I don't know. I feel like it's in a sense easier and harder with the internet to do these large scale hoaxes, right? They just make a fake video. There was a video I covered years ago where some video footage got leaked, and I think it was in Iraq. There was a news report from, I think it was like CNN, the BBC. And they were like, bomb blast goes off, people injured. And then someone leaked footage where you see a car blow up and then a bunch of people run into frame, lay on the ground, and start writhing in pain.
Wow.
So I don't know what that was. You don't know who staged it. For all we know, Russia could have staged that, claiming it was staged by someone else. You see the point? Like, you never know who's trying to manipulate you.
False flag.
Exactly.
Snap.
A false flag.
Oh, snap.
You're making me nervous.
False flag.
How deep does it go? The inception.
I don't know where that video is from. You see the car explode. You see people run up after the fact, lay down, and act as though they were in the blast.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
We don't know what it was from, but it does call into question the initial reporting, because the reporting talked about the people who were there in the blast, and then you see the blast and you're like, well, at least that story is not true. So why is it being pushed out? I say it's easier and harder. It's easier in a sense that you've got to do the hard work of making fake content, hiring people to run the sock puppet accounts, but then you have a substantially larger reach in terms of that kind of manipulation.
I didn't even know what fiat currency was until 2007 when I saw Zeitgeist or 8 or whatever. I went to school in the United States, grew up in the 90s and the 80s. We've been on fiat currency since 1970, 71 or something. I never even heard the phrase fiat currency. I was never taught that, never explained that they can print as much as they want until the internet.
And they found a way to tax you without you realizing it.
Yeah, and if the internet had not come around and opportunities like Zeitgeist had not been presented, I would still not know probably. It's crazy.
Yep. And now they're slowly taking those rights and those freedoms away. I mean, look at the internet where it was in the late 90s. You could find wacky, crazy stuff.
Oh my gosh, bangedup.com. I mean, you
What-
could probably
what?
still find that. It was just dirty death porn.
No,
crazy.
no.
Jeez.
Yeah, but that's exactly the point. I mean, the stuff you'd see on LiveLeak. Now
Yeah,
you
LiveLeak.
But now and take a look at like torrenting and take a look at like the height in 10 years ago.
Napster.
What happened with Kim.com? You remember that?
Yeah, what did happen? What went down with that?
He had so let me break it down for you. Where the Wild West of the internet was. Mega Upload was a file locker. You would you'd set up an account and then you'd say, I want to store my files here, just like Google. If you're on Google Drive, you can upload a video and like it's your kids doing it. You run around the yard or whatever. And then you can share the link with your friends so they can download it. It's an easy way for people to just all download something at once and be sending it to everybody. Well, the problem was people started immediately using Mega Upload to post movies and TV shows, and it was just almost like, I think more than half of it was piracy. A lot of people were using it, but piracy. Well, Kim.com, a New Zealand businessman who has never been to the U.S., had like, I guess, U.S., I think it was the MPAA, Motion Picture Association of America. I could be wrong. But like some American industries and the FBI, I think it was the FBI, and New Zealand authorities raid his home and arrest him in like the middle of the night or whatever. He's this super rich guy, and they claimed it was like piracy or whatever. I interviewed Kim.com for Vice, and he made a really, really interesting point because I was trying to challenge him, like, why wouldn't you take these things down? Why weren't you deleting the movies when they were uploading piracy? And he said, are we supposed to go into our users' accounts and spy on them? Are we supposed to start reading through their file names to see what they uploaded and why? We did take them down. He was like, when we would get sent links and say this is piracy, we would delete them immediately. But proactively, that would mean someone would create an account and we'd have to go into their account, look at what they're uploading, and then even watch the video to make sure. Because people can name videos whatever they want. And then he was like, it's not something we could do, but we were actively telling them we will do it. It didn't matter. They came in, they shut it all down. The point of the story is, 10 years ago, the internet was the Wild West. Every movie, every show, you could watch anything, anywhere. And they've done a really good job doing two things: shutting all that down, the piracy, and actually making it a lot easier to watch movies, to be completely honest. I got no problem paying $10 a month so I can get a big library of movies and I have to worry about viruses and garbage links. And there have been times where it's like, I'd see a movie and someone would send me a link and I'd be like, oh, cool, in Independence Day, and I'd click it. And then it would be some like weird rom-com, like wrongly labeled or something. And I'm like, this is dumb. I just want to watch the movie. So they created streaming services. It was a great improvement in my opinion. But the point is, what happened with the end of the Wild West, how everything became more streamlined like channels, we're seeing that happen now with social media as well.
I really don't like the term piracy when you talk about copying information, maybe illegally on the internet or whatever, but copying information, because a pirate would steal your thing and then you wouldn't have it anymore. A pirate didn't come and copy it down and then take a copy of it and leave you with your original. The piracy is stealing. Making a copy of something is different than that.
I disagree.
Oh, it's completely different than stealing.
I had friends who worked in the movie industry who were losing their jobs because they would spend like, a couple $100,000 on doing like a low budget feature, and then it would immediately get pirated, and then they'd be like, guys, we turned zero profit. We can't do this anymore. Sorry.
I know people in the trucking industry that are losing their job. Modern technologies altered the way we communicate. It's not piracy. That's the point.
I disagree.
You can't redefine piracy to make people look like villains and make it seem like they're stealing when they're making a copy of something. It's different.
But I think they are stealing.
You could argue that because
Yeah.
of copyright law, but that didn't exist until like 1600 or something.
Well, piracy happened
while
after
ago.
that too.
Wow, yeah.
Piracy's been happening for a long time before that.
I was never of the opinion that people should be allowed to just copy any bit of information they wanted, in the sense that like you don't need to give someone. It's I don't even understand how this is an argument. Like if you believe in the rights of the working class, to be able to have someone, let's think about like an invention or designing a structure. Someone sits there and tries to figure out how to make this object work, how to design this engine properly, and then you're like, I can copy it and you can't do anything about it. And you're like, dude, I've worked for 10 years to design this. And they're like, we don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not stealing it. I'm just duplicating it.
Right, but if they try and sell it, now they're on the hook for illegal activity. But copying it is, I think that's
artists
human
deserve-
right.
And then copying and everyone gets to use it. And so the issue there is, I certainly like the idea that if someone invents something or makes something that can be easily shared and everyone can enjoy the fruits of that product, I like the idea they can. But then to say that the person who broke their back worked really, really hard to make that gets nothing for it.
No, that's a problem. So say you made something, data, and I copied it and then sold it. I think it should be written into the code that if I get paid, you get paid a large amount because you're the creator of the content.
So what you need to understand about the content that was being taken was that the consumption of the content was happening on mass scales with millions of people who did not pay for it. So shouldn't the person who made it allowed to be compensated for the fruits of their labor?
I think artists should be able to make money, unless and if they want it to be available for free, they can have a license where it's available to people, put it out in the open domain.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.